Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniatures, and I've got an obscure one for you today. I have in front of you one of the Drakerys, or however you want to pronounce it, army boxes. So Drakerys, which is what I'm going to call it, was a game by Don't Panic Games. You can see their logo there, who also made the Ghostbusters board game, as far as I'm aware of. They had a Kickstarter quite a few years back now for a mass combat slash skirmish game, and one of the big claims to fame was that you had a lot of options included for all of the models in the box. This is the Erosia Paladinate, and this is the human faction. You can see them all here. And of the various armies for the game, this seems to be the easiest one to acquire, especially if you're out there and looking for a good bargain. And this is actually, I don't know why this wasn't attached. I'm going to assume it wasn't attached because this is in English and the game was produced by predominantly French game designers. So I'm guessing they have a French version that is included in the French box. So what do we have here? As I was saying, so you have your elite models, especially, and then you have 2 included, but you have parts to build 3 different versions, and it looks like we've got some Minotaurs there, so I am okay with Minotaurs, as you guys are probably aware. Here we have an Awakened Hero. Okay, so you have 3 different options available. You have all the parts included for them, and then we have 15 troops in 5 of each variety. And then let's see, so that's what it says here for the contents. We have the quick start rules, we have all of the tokens, we've got playing cards, 41 of them, that's a lot. Unit magic action, okay. 5 tape measures, and 10 dice, and a deviation die. Alright, shall we take a look inside? Because I'm actually really curious. I remember when this was on Kickstarter. At the time I was in Japan, and I remember being really bummed out that I didn't have the money to throw at it. And then the game, I don't know if it caught on, maybe it did. I just remember kind of losing interest, as there's always something new and shiny with Kickstarter, unfortunately. Alright, taking a look at the token sheet. Not bad in terms of thickness. I'm not a fan of flimsy tokens. I have a feeling that these centimeters, they are centimeter sticks. So those would probably be pretty handy, actually. I must admit, in 5, 10, 15, 25, and 20 denominations. Bunch of other tokens, movement penalties, pulses, I don't know, we'll find out. Next up we have the instruction manual. Okay, it's pretty thick. It's also fully in color, so that's kind of nice. They had a very interesting elf faction, very tribalistic looking. I don't know, this is a lot to read. So yeah, I think the main armies, let's see if it has a thing on the various armies in here. Recruitment table. Okay, so we have the elves, humans, dwarves, orcs, and then there were a couple of random mercenary types that you could recruit as well. I dig the dwarf designs. That's probably the one faction, if I do have a chance to acquire them, I probably will. The orcs are interesting. If I can get that focused. I like the hero guy there. This time path thing, I think, is a key component. I have no idea what it does. We'll learn. Magic. I remember these invocation tornado things were a big deal. Recruitment tables, point costs. So this rulebook being the quick start rules, which is even more impressive considering it's quite thorough. It looks mercenary guys. It is army agnostic, which means, as long as you buy any of the starters, you're going to get this in there. Okay, some of the cards, more of the cards. Should we take a look? I guess that's kind of handy to have it there rather than having to look up in a index. So we've got all the various unit types accounted for here. Let me see if I can zoom that in better and you guys can get a better look. Now, of course, they have the gorgeously painted resin samples. I can't fault them for that. I mean, obviously, if I was going to be running a Kickstarter or trying to have people buy into a game, I would absolutely want to have my models looking the best. Okay, these are magic cards. And it looks like one side is in English and the other is in French, and I am not even going to try. Nope. Not even happening. Action table. Let's see what's in here. I'm assuming these are going to be mercenary type cards. So I know they made these larger elementals. We haven't even talked about what material they use. I did like the... So they had the smaller elementals, and then you had the Overlord elementals, which were much cooler looking. For the most part. Heroes. I can't think of the guy's name who drew this. He was the artist that did, I know, Guardians Chronicles and quite a few other comic book based games. So the cards are Army Pacific. Okay, these are all mission cards. Not that there's anything really detailing the actual mission on them. Okay. I'm assuming that's all in the rulebook. The dice, for the most part, are pretty basic, and it looks like the 0 has been replaced with the Drakerys symbol, and then we have a good old deviation die. That's enough of that. Let's take a look at the actual models. That's what we're here for, right? Okay. You guys remember this stuff? Restic. Ooh. Actually, I gotta say, the detail's not bad, though. Of course, I like the Restic for stuff like Wrath of Kings. So maybe there's something wrong with me. Honestly, it's not bad looking. The warpage of the weapon is another story. So remember, you get 2 bodies. Interestingly enough, we have sculpted bases. I didn't expect that. Of course, the sculpted details don't really carry over to the slot, but that's okay. I'll tell you, I'm not a big fan of having to detail bases up. Are they the same pose? Surprisingly, no. You can see he's got 2 knee pads on, whereas this guy doesn't seem to have any. Interesting. And as the box stated, we do have various weapon options. He's got some cleavers, he's got that great axe, there was a hammer in there. Who knows what else? I see some shields in here. So that's kind of cool. You do have the options available, and I guess, let's see how cooperative it is. Those are all the wrong arms. Can I find it? There we go. I guess you probably could get away with leaving them unglued and then being able to swap them if you really wanted to do that. Of course, you could just cut off the nubs and stick some magnets in there. I'm assuming this big bag is probably going to be most of the basic infantry guys. And again, they do have those detailed bases. So it looks like this bag is just bodies, and somewhere in here, oh my goodness, lots of teeny parts. I'm assuming then that these are for the champion, elite hero, whatever you want to call them. I don't know what that is. I'm going to have to look at the box to figure out which body is which. And where those cloaks are supposed to go. But then we have this whole bag of nothing but bits. Oh my goodness, and there's an awful lot. I'm afraid to even open it right now. It's going to spill and make a huge mess. Let's just take a look. I'm curious if the bodies are designed for one type of weapon or the other. You look like an archer type. Do you want to take your arm? That does look like an archer, right? I don't know. Give me a sec. We will try to sort all this out. It honestly is kind of overwhelming, but that's okay. And I will dig through this and figure out what's what, and we'll show off the finished models here in just a moment. Okay, well, we went and we've got our Erosia Paladinate for Drakerys all put together, or as best and as willing as I was to work with it. So despite the strange colors of the plastic rustic mix that we're dealing with here, I mean, detail wise it looks okay. I wouldn't say it's any better or worse of comparable stuff that came out around a similar time. Obviously this stuff's a bit dated at this point, but for the most part everything actually did as intended and was very push fit. You'll see I did not push the head on all the way for our Minotaur friend here. I don't like the fact that for a starter set, you know, that has 3 different builds, you only get 2. And I don't even know if I did it correctly. I'm looking at it and it sort of, no, okay. So a couple of weird things are like, the shield that it shows him with in the artwork is totally different than the weapons that are included. Same with the sword. That's kind of bizarre, unless there's like a hero model for the Minotaurs, but I don't actually think there are. I think one of the neatest things about these guys are those bases. If you're like me and you don't really want to play with texturing them, you're good to go, except for the fact that the slotted tab has no little funky detail on it, so that's going to be kind of awkward. But it is what it is. So the figure models of the humans, oh boy, yeah. They are definitely a product of their time. We'll put it that way. So again, speaking on the fact that there are 3 different combinations, the current combination that our hero model is in does not match any of them. She was shown in the artwork with either a sword and shield, a pole arm, or a bow, yet here we have 2 blades and a totally different head. I mean, I know things can change sometimes in the lead up to, you know, release. And then we were supposed to have 5 of each troop type with a total of 15 troops. Interestingly, there are enough pieces included that if you wanted to build all 15 the same way, it is possible, but the arms, poses, and figures themselves are not going to cooperate exactly. I'm still somewhat tempted to try painting one of these just to see what it's like. Some of the poses are very static, but because the bodies, you get all kinds, you can get some really funky ones. I think the arms are actually supposed to be completely interchangeable with every body type, but for some, they work better than others. You can get some really wonky poses like this. So like the artwork showed all of the shields on the left arm, but here we have a guy with it on his right. I don't know what kind of a polearm pose that is, but that's what he's in. And he's cool with it. I didn't bother gluing anything together here. I was really unsure what to do with these guys. Like, look at the pose. I mean, that's where the arm is supposed to go. Some of the other bodies, obviously, are better choices for those weapons, but I just don't care. I'm going to make some funky poses. Some of the bodies look like they're supposed to be feminine, at least in the painted samples, but they're all male, at least. I mean, just where things connect, like taking that polearm and putting it on this body, it's going to look just as weird. So it's different. I can't complain about the fact that they give you so many parts. I'm assuming if you ever bought any of the troop boosters, they would have everything included as well. It'd be kind of chintzy if they gave you only the pieces to build, you know, bowmen or the lancers or, you know, the basic fighter types. One thing I did notice is none of the bowmen actually have quivers or arrows of any sort. Strange. And they also share the same head with one of the other troop types. I didn't build many bowmen. You don't have a head. Where'd all my heads go? I don't know. See, like, the body itself here is hunched over. And I really don't know what you're supposed to do with this. Like, here, you know what? Oh, I've got the artwork right here. So check it out. Like, everybody's in the same position. It looks like they only had one body type available. Conscript. Conscript. But we'll let that go. Obviously, I know these guys were French, and English wouldn't be their first language. So I'll get out of teacher mode. See, look. Oh, I guess that's the face and head that has the cape. There's no other sword. It's weird. See what I was saying about, like, the Minotaur? Small, crested shield, big sword. Neither of which are anywhere in sight. Definitely odd and interesting. I have a few more bits here and there of the random figures, but honestly, I'm like, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. And at the time when this first got kickstarted, I was super jealous of the people who backed it for a big pile of stuff. But now I kind of feel like I dodged a bullet. I am still tempted. At the very least, the Minotaurs, even though they look more like, at least with this head, more goat-like, could definitely be some decent proxies for a Beastman-style warband. And I mean, they're like nowhere as big as any of the Mir stuff. I've got like a Rat the King's guy hanging around here. They were in 40s, but you know what it's like. Let's grab a regular human, just for curiosity's sake. How big they stack up with other stuff out there. Good old Witch Hunter. So their bases are a little bit, you know, bumped up with their cool tactical debris. Reaper human. Conquest human. Actually, no. Actually, they might be close in size. No, not so much. Where's my Frostgrave dudes? Where my Frostgrave bros at? I don't know why I have a Cawdor guy here. You're not Frostgrave. Or Frostgrave adjacent. They might work. I mean, the proportions are a lot more true scale looking than the more squished up proportions of the Frostgrave or traditional fantasy stuff. I guess for you, like, Lord of the Rings type, Middle-earth fantasy battles, might be an interesting option. If you could find them cheap enough. I'm going to throw that caveat out there. And it's not like, as far as I know, the game really hasn't gone anywhere since. They had some interesting looking elementals, I remember, and a dragon and some terrain. I might still try to track down some of the terrain and the elementals, just out of curiosity's sake. Kind of curious. So here's with a Privateer and Legends of Signum model. Actually, they scale pretty well, I think. Looks a little bit short compared to our Privateer figure, even though he's not completely on the camera. There you go. I don't know. Let me think of any other models. We got the Frostgrave / Oathmark stuff. Conquest. I don't know. Victrix. One of these days, I think I'm going to have to go get some of those Lord of the Ring models. Just because I know a lot of you guys out there seem to have ideas of using them. Warlord figure. Should we get really fun and get one of the old Imperial guys? I don't know. They're too advanced, I think, in terms of armaments to be fighting the Romans. Don't know what you'd use them for. How about Basilians? I think if you can get these guys in bulk, and especially if you just cut off the tabs, I think gluing them down for a, you know, I don't remember what the Nations of Man or whatever, the Kingdoms of Man in Kings of War. These might be a easy and economic way to bulk up some human forces. Just a thought. I haven't really encountered these in the wild other than this one starter set, so it definitely, I would say, would constitute an obscurity, and I'm kind of curious to hear more and see more about this game. It just never went anywhere, it seems. I've got a few other obscure Kickstarters that I have just not gotten around to filming or showing off, but I really do hope to in the near future. If I can take some time and get that stuff going. Some really funky ones, especially coming out of Europe, it seems. Not that there aren't a plethora of them in the US as well. But yeah, I'm going to put a link to the original Kickstarter. Have a look at it. I don't know if this stuff's available anywhere at this point anymore. If you come across it, well, congratulations. At least you'll know somewhat what this stuff looks like. I still kind of wonder if any of the other sets got released in regular, normal, gray, rustic colors. I could not tell you, but it's definitely an interesting legacy of Kickstarter fever when that was certainly a big thing. So, with that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.